Hi, this is Debbie with Book and Bujo, and welcome here. Today we are going to go through the Fear the Booktuber Tag by David's Book Reviews. And thank you so much, Book Rising with Bart J. Gilbertson, who tagged me for this. Alright, so question number 1. What is your deepest, darkest fear? So, I'm thinking it's actually being burned alive. I think that would be the absolute worst way to die ever. A runner-up of something else that would totally freak me out is being trapped in a room with insects or rodents and you can't get away from them. So they like crawling all over you. It just, ugh. Okay. Moving on. I got that image in my head. What is the scariest novel that you have read this year, and who's your favorite scary author that you've read this year? So I'm a bit of a wimp, so I appreciate and love the horror and thriller genre. I think it's amazing, but I'm a total wuss, so I don't get too deep into it, and so I just kind of skim the surface of horror books. But so far I think the best one I've read this year is Into the Drowning Deep with Myra Grant. I am almost done with it. I'm about 75% of the way through and I'm loving it. So I like, my heart's beating fast during certain scenes and just, oh, it's great. It's suspenseful, it's interesting, it's intriguing, and oh, I love it. I also liked, for a totally different reason, Constance by Matthew Fitzsimmons. So this one's more of a thriller, I would say, but it's really interesting. It's thought-provoking, but kind of really creepy and scary at the same time. It's not necessarily meant to be kind of a horror, but I kind of took it that way. So basically it's cloning, and so you can make a clone of yourself. And so after you die, the clone is already grown and kind of incubated and is just kind of hanging out there. But as soon as you die, there's like a chip in you and it activates your clone. And so then you wake up and you have to go in every couple weeks to update your memories and the things that have happened to you. So that way your clone isn't like 3 months out of date, like they have no idea what happened in the last 3 months, because that would freak you out, right? What happened in the last 3 months? And but it was just, if it's more of a society, like where are we going? It's interesting, but creepy as well, like just the ramifications of some of that. Yeah. So those are my novel favorites. So a short story favorite is The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. It was only like 30 pages or something, but it was great. It was fast paced, which obviously has to be with it being so short. But basically, like, think of yourself getting dropped on an island and having to survive and protect yourself from the people that are there. So like the game is basically who's gonna survive at the end, so kind of like a Hunger Games kind of thing, but there's no arena, there's no crowd, you're just there and you gotta survive. So what novel or series are you too scared to read? And it said any genre, but I don't necessarily have a specific book, but anything that's in the thriller and horror category that's too realistic, like it could actually happen. So it's more of those psychological thrillers. Those are the ones that really creep me out. So some of the ones that are a little more far-fetched, I guess you say, with like aliens coming or things like that wouldn't necessarily happen in your daily life, but things where you're getting kidnapped or mind games and things like that, those, yeah, I can't read those. They give me nightmares. What frighteningly good horror author do you feel needs more attention on BookTube? I do like Shirley Jackson, so that's one. But I think being more of a light horror reader, and I don't delve too deep into anything scary. But I really like the horror historical fiction genre. It's really interesting. So that it's based in actual history, but then you tweak it to add the horror element to it. So Robert Masello is one of my favorites for that. So he mixes horror with historical fiction. I've read 2 of his books so far. One of them is The Haunting of H.G. Wells. That one was really interesting. So it actually had me Googling to see, like, did this actually happen in history? Like, were they actually in these areas and these towns and these situations? And they're pretty accurate. There are some where he takes some liberties, because, I mean, it is fiction. So, you know. But, so H.G. Wells is in the war, and he sees a lot of his friends die. And so he comes back, and he keeps seeing his friends, like if he's looking in the mirror, and like they're guiding him in different ways, and it's really interesting. But it also has a little bit of a scary factor to it, but not enough to scare me. So if you're a hardcore horror, then it might not be your jam. The other one is The Night Crossing, which is based on Bram Stoker, and that one was intriguing. That one had me Googling the most. So he actually has Bram Stoker going on the Titanic, which is The Night Crossing, where Bram Stoker never actually went on the Titanic. He was alive during that time and all of that kind of stuff, but he took some liberties there with the fiction. But oh my gosh, so good. That one I think was even better. So you have like Egyptian mythology kind of put in there as well, and it's just so exciting. Every chapter was something new and had me intrigued and wanting to turn page after page after page, not wanting to put the book down. So, what's your favorite scary movie? So again, don't like being scared. But my favorite scary movie is Monster Squad from the 80s. Oh my gosh, the cheese factor in that just warms my heart. I just love it. It is so much fun. So you have these kids that have to fight Dracula, and there's Frankenstein, and then you have a mummy, and you have Swamp Thing, and it's just so much fun. And of course none of the adults believe them, and it's just so much fun. Oh my gosh. I've seen scarier movies, and I totally appreciate the genre again, but I would never watch them again. I think the one that creeped me out the most was The Ring. I want nothing to do with that movie, book, whatever. I don't want anything to do with that. That freaked me out. Silence of the Lambs. Again, that's a little more psychological thriller, so I liked that one, but again, a little too creepy for me. So, yeah. Monster Squad. That's one that I have to watch every Halloween. The other 2 that I like is Something Wicked This Way Comes, Ray Bradbury. That's a great movie. I actually think I like the movie a little bit more than the book. So there's parts of the book that I really like over the movie, and there's parts of the movie I really like over the book. Love that one. The other one that always freaked me out when I was a kid, but it didn't matter, I still loved it and wanted to watch it over and over and over again, and that is Watcher in the Woods. It's a Disney movie. Oh my gosh. Love that movie. So good. Bette Davis. I mean, classic actress. Gotta love her. Alright, so whose channel produces the scariest videos? So again, I'm not into super scary. I don't like to be freaked out. I don't mind the boo and the wah kind of thing, but I don't like being scared to the point where you're having nightmares and you can't sleep. I don't like that. So, being that total wimp, I'm going to go with Halloween Time with Gavin, for How Do You Train Your Gavin. He does a lot of let's read horror books in like an empty castle, or he goes to a cabin in the woods and reads horror books, and that's kind of fun. But the other one I like, he doesn't necessarily produce a lot of scary content, but he mainly reads strictly horror books, and that is Coffee Cats and King. and he finds like amazing finds at of books you've probably never heard of, or just they're not mainstream. They're just this even one-off authors at yard sales, garage sales, things like that. And he goes through each one of them, gives a great information about what each book is, not just reading the synopsis, but telling his thoughts, and yeah, it's great. He has about 106 videos up right now and about 584 subscribers, but I think he should have more than that. So he's entertaining. He's always drinking his coffee. Oh, and by the way, today I've got my Christmas mug from Adagio Teas, but I'm actually drinking bone broth this morning. We did survive 2 nights of 28 degrees here in Arizona, and it's actually kind of nice and refreshing to have just that, being that crisp and cold and just beautiful mornings. But I've got nice bone broth this morning to warm me up. This one is a beef bone broth. It's a great drink in the mornings. Okay, so if you met Pennywise, so I did have to look up who Pennywise was. Now I know. What fictional character or creature would it turn into? So, I mean, clowns, I'm not really scared of clowns, but they could be pretty creepy on their own. And of course, Pennywise is a creepy clown. So probably wouldn't need to change into anything really, but as I thought about it more, I realized it would probably turn into some kind of psychopathic child character. So like from Children of the Corn or The Shining or something like that, because it's like a child with no conscience that does whatever it wants and is evil is just creepy. Yes. Okay. Last 2 questions. Question 9. What novel scared you so much it gave you nightmares or made you uncomfortable? So in high school, I read a couple. So Flowers in the Attic definitely made me uncomfortable. And The Mist by Stephen King. The other one I read in high school was Misery. Love Stephen King. Those sometimes a bit too much for me. I can read them during the day. Not too bad. Not reading them at night. But The Mist, that one gave me some nightmares. If we want to go with movies, Poltergeist. As a child, I actually woke up, I'm sure it was a dream, but I woke up in my dream and my bed, the head of my bed looked right towards my bedroom door, and I woke up and I swear that the poltergeist scene in the door was there. And oddly enough, I woke up for real, and then I ran through that door to go get my parents because I was freaked out, which kind of absent-minded of myself that I was freaked out for being the scary part in the door, and I ran through the door anyway. Yeah, so tag the scariest booktubers you know. Again, I don't really know a lot of scary booktubers because I kind of stay away from the stuff that will give me nightmares, but I'm going to tag Coffee Cats and King, Hardback Hoarder, who does amazing stuff during Halloween as well, How to Train Your Gavin, and then I'm tagging back Book Rising with Bart J. Gilbertson. Just let him know. I want to thank him so much for tagging me in this. And so like, comment, subscribe if you want it, and hit that notification bell if you want to hear more from me, and I will catch you in the comments. Bye!